One of my favorite features of Fusion 360 is the ability to add user parameters. User parameters are great because they allow you to give real names to different parameters and use them throughout your project. I'll show you what I mean. As you can see here, I've just got an empty project started here with the origin visible, and I've switched the units to inches. So the first thing we need to do in order to easily use user parameters is to make the user parameters menu easy to find. So I'm going to go to the modify menu, come down to change parameters, it's the sigma at the bottom, and I'm going to click on this little arrow here that says add to toolbar. Now it's up at the top and I can get to it whenever I need to. An important thing about user parameters is that you have to create them before you can use them. That is, you have to make sure that it exists in your list of parameters before you can try to call it from your sketch or anywhere else using parameters. So I will click on there to bring it up. It will list model parameters too if I have any, but I'll click plus next to user parameters. I'll enter a user parameter. In this case, I'm making a rectangle or a cube with a hole in it so that I can fit something into it if I want to. We'll start by saying hole width. I'll just name it hole width, and I'm going to start with ½ inch. You can always change this later. I'll add another one. Since it might be a 3D printed part, I'm going to call this fit clearance. And that's going to be 150 microns, which is about 0.06 inches. Sorry, 0.06 inches. And now we're going to use another thing for hole depth. We want to know how deep that hole is going to go. I'll make that 0.75 inches. Sorry, put it in the expression area. And just to show you that you can do this, hole rotation. And I'll make that degrees, angles and degrees. And I'll make that 45. That's mostly all we need, but let's say cube width. It's not going to be a true cube, and we'll make that 1.5 inches. And cube depth, and we'll make that 1.5 inches for now. We can always change that later. So I've got these, and they have actual names and values associated with them. Let's go take a look and see how we'd use those. Normally you could easily just create a cube as a cube, but I like to create a lot of things with sketches, so I'm going to start with a sketch on the XY plane. I'll create a rectangle here, and I'm going to do center rectangle. Click in the center, and for this, we're going to use, and we can just type it in here, cube width. Cube width. And we will stop the sketch. We're going to hit E to extrude, select that, and the distance is going to be cube depth. There we go. Now we want to make that hole, so we're going to create another sketch on the top surface, and we want a rectangle. Use a center rectangle, and in this case it's going to be, you don't have to capitalize it when you're starting it, hole width. I missed one, let me just go ahead and enter that other one. There we are. And now we got that, we'll stop the sketch. We'll do another extrude, we'll select that, and this time it's going to be minus hole depth. And that will cut that to the hole depth. Now you see we've created that hole, and I forgot to do something. Let's go back to that sketch. And these shouldn't just be whole width. They should be whole width plus fit clearance times 2. And we'll edit that one to be the same thing. So you see that you can actually enter formulas into these fields. And now that's got my fit clearance, 150 on both sides. I can adjust 150 microns on both sides. I can adjust that later. I'll go ahead and stop that. So that's one of the wonderful things about user parameters, is it makes it very easy to go in and modify these. Let's go and we'll make the whole width 0.75 inches, and you can see that it's changed the size of it right there. I liked it at 0.5, so I'll put it back. You can adjust your fit clearance if you decide that your 3D printer isn't as accurate as you thought, or that it's more accurate than you thought. We can make that hole deeper or shallower. We can change the width of the overall cube to 1.25 and the depth of it to 1.25. But I'm going to put that back at 1.5, and I'm going to make the depth of the parameter 0.875. Now I can close that. So here I've got it set with the new parameters. I know that I had the rotation parameter in there, and I'm going to see if I can't do something with that. Let's see if I can't do sketch objects. And we will rotate around the z-axis by whole rotation. And now we've rotated that by 45 degrees, and I'll go ahead and hide that sketch. But it's fun now to see that you could take that. Let me zoom in a bit. And you could even add more parameters, like let me just add a side fillet, and we'll make it a 1/16 of an inch, which is pretty big. But now that I've added those new parameters, let's go and apply them. I'm going to add a fillet around all of the outside edges of the cube. But I can actually just type in side fillet. That looks like I missed one, so I'll hold the command and select the one I missed. That looks a little bit big to me, so let's change that down to a 32nd of an inch. And that's the beauty of user parameters. You can easily make changes to your user parameters, which are then reflected on the model itself. In fact, I'll add a new value for whole chamfer, and I'll do a 32nd of an inch like we did for the fillet. And we will add a chamfer just on the top. Sometimes makes it easier to insert 3D printed parts. That's how you use user parameters and a couple of the things that they're useful for. If you like this video, say so by liking it down below, and I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my channel too. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.